Hi everybody, I am about to begin chapter 14, which really is the final chapter for marketing. I am going to embed a little bit of chapter 15 in this, although we don't do the entire chapter. So over the next few videos, you can expect that I will do a little bit of both, chapter 14 and 15. So to begin today, we are going to jump to the slide on the nature of personal selling, and I will kind of go from there, giving you some tips. So ultimately, what I want you to learn from this chapter is kind of the skills required for the Salesforce team, the importance of sales and selling as one of the promotional tools for how marketers do their job. The key word on this slide is relationship building. I think you'll find most salespeople, especially if they have a specific clientele. So we're not talking about just salespeople who do customer service in a store when you're shopping for clothes or whatever, but we're talking about people who do sales for the same client base on an ongoing way. So whether that's selling cars, selling houses, selling network marketing products, or you're a big commercial company and you sell to clients like GFS, or maybe you work in the community and you sell directly to Polycello or something like that. And it's all about relationships. It's about, and I've said that from the very first class you've taken in marketing back in September, everything is about building relationships and that connection, that one-on-one, that personal touch of knowing your customer, knowing their needs and wants, how to meet those needs, and really listening effectively in order to make their needs met. So that's what we're going to talk about in this unit. Obviously, the Salesforce team is a key link for the company because it's the direct line between the company itself and the customer base. So if you think about a company like Emerson Packaging, for example, they have to buy plastic and product and oxygen and molecules and ink and all kinds of different things in order to make the products that they sell to customers. So they do sales themselves to customers, but they also work with salespeople, other companies, to buy their products. And those relationships are key. One example I can speak to from a little bit of personal experience, if you ever drive by Emerson, they have massive tanks outside of their building. And the tanks probably have a label on them called Air Liquid. And that tank is full of oxygen and I think carbon something. I forget what the molecules are now. But it helps them in processing packaging material. So they buy from Air Liquid. That relationship is a highly lucrative, very important relationship to them for their bottom line. They probably spend $1 million or more a year on that product, and they probably sign into a contract for about 5 years with the Air Liquid company. So the person who does sales for Air Liquid is a key connection between Air Liquid and Emerson. The reason I speak about that is because my ex-husband has worked in that role, and he'd have 17 or 20 clients worth millions of dollars. So nurturing those relationships is critical. Coordinating sales, making sales calls, making sure they have enough product and that they never run out, because Emerson's business depends on the ability for them to produce, and in order to produce, they need products to push out to customers. So in the sales management, so people who are, overseeing a sales force, if you were to become a manager, you would have to be responsible for designing your sales team and the strategy and how it's structured. So if you're in car sales, you would be a sales manager and you'd probably have 4, 5, 10 salespeople under you. So keeping them, successful and motivated in selling, it becomes part of the manager's job to do that. If they're on the floor, if they do online sales, if they do video marketing, all of that has to be supervised. And that's what a sales management team does. You also have to do good recruitment and selection, making sure you get candidates who are good at sales and have the skill set to sell. People who are good at sales have good people skills, great communication skills. They often exude confidence. They are usually motivated because they often don't get paid unless they make their commission. As well as they're quite persuasive and they build relationships. So hiring those kinds of people, training them, training them in whatever sales model you use. Everyone has a different approach to how sales is done. The old school traditional pushy salesperson shouldn't be how people are trained today. People should be much more customer service oriented, know the product and the product lineup really well, listen to a customer's needs and concerns or problems that they're having, and be able to provide solutions in terms of, here's what product I have and this would work well for you and this is what we recommend. So that requires good training and making sure that your employees really know their stuff as well as have awesome people skills. In terms of compensating your team, most salespeople do commission, so they don't make money if they don't sell or meet their quotas, whatever their targets are. Others will have a base salary and then perhaps maybe a bonus structure on top for if they go over their required amount, then they'll get bonus for extra sales. So that's also got to be, factored in. Are there bonuses like trips and rewards and, things that would really get people more motivated to reach targets, especially when sales slump? We might have to think real creative about how do we get our team up and going and ready to drive sales even further. Of course, supervision and evaluating the performance of your sales team, tracking, monitoring, checking in, coaching, and making sure that their performance is managed and successful. I'm not going to worry a whole lot about the specific steps, all of the things that come with each step, as long as you have a broad overview of what each step entails. So for the first step, I already kind of mentioned some of this, but you'll have a region like the northern region of Nova Scotia might be a territory, and then southern Nova Scotia or other parts of Nova Scotia might belong to a different salesperson. So sometimes you'll have regional directors or district directors who will oversee the Salesforce team. Sometimes you might have a rep who does all of Atlantic Canada or all of Nova Scotia. So you have to kind of structure your sales team based on where you sell. If you have a massive multinational company, you probably have sales teams all over the world, and how you manage those teams are really important. I had referenced my ex working for Air Liquide before. He no longer does that. He works for a different company now. But his manager was in Montreal. So a lot like we're managing online classes and using technology, sometimes the sales management team has to use the same creative ways to reach out and stay connected to staff that they don't see regularly. I have a friend who lives in Shediac. She works from home full time, and she manages teams all over. She's got a team in Rio de Janeiro. She's got a team in Texas. She's got a team in Moncton. She's got a team all over. So that's all part of the orientation. She has a small sales team of 5, but you could have upwards of 100, depending on how big your workforce is. I think I've pretty much covered that. Your sales team needs to be able to move the product, explain the product, identify gaps and needs, build relationships, be persuasive, answer questions, and do it all in a way that feels authentic and natural and not like a traditional salesperson that's too pushy or too motivated by profit. There's got to be a good balance and be able to close a deal. Lots of people can do a pitch, but can you close the deal and get the sale? Training, we can imagine a multiplicity of ways of training. There's online webinars, tutorials, videos, approaches like this. If I was in a sales management role, I could be doing coaching right now with you one-on-one individually, or sending you information the way I'm sending you now to make sure that you get the specific sales approach that I want you to have. Every company comes at it a different way, how they do it. E-training is very popular now. Having meetings on Microsoft Teams where the whole team's there and can be a collegial way of dealing with a team that's not all in the same location or all quarantined because of COVID. I've explained this already. Motivating your team. We'll not get into this kind of stuff. If you take human resource management with me, we do a lot more about training, orientation, team motivation. You probably learned about positive organizational culture and climate in, I suspect, organizational behavior with Peggy. I'm sure you know about, the things like different personalities, difficult personalities, all of that kind of stuff. So overall, just making sure that we have a strong organizational culture, good leadership, good management. In management principles, you learn a lot of those skills too. And the same with evaluating salespeople. Those are things that you have to have standards, provide feedback, good coaching, mentorship, support, checking in regularly, having benchmarks that you need your salespeople to accomplish. So that's pretty much what I wanted you to know about sales. I'm not going to worry at all about selling digitally in terms of how that's done. We know things like Spotify, Amazon, all online shopping. I'm sure most of you have used it. The types of marketing to get your content out, whether you use YouTube or you use email or text marketing. A lot of people use social networking and social media to get information out, and sales, promotions, advertisements, things like that. And today, more than ever, every business right now is trying to brainstorm, how am I going to sell when there's no brick and mortar open? Coming up with creative ways of deliveries and parcel pickups and curbside pickups, and even Toys R Us right now, they're trying to really encourage curbside pickup. They're even doing a $15 off promotion to encourage people to come and still shop, order online, and get it right here at the side of the building, much like you do for PC Express if you're shopping at Superstore. So technology today is, I hope, going to be the thing that saves our economy and saves business from going under. Now, I'm going to end with this piece, the personal selling process. If you are the salesperson and not the management team, sales is tough, and there's lots of training and certifications. If this is something you are good at or naturally have an inclination for, sales can be really awesome and can be really lucrative in terms of pay if you're good at sales and you can close deals and you can really provide good customer service. But it's work, and that means always prospecting and qualifying new clients. Sometimes that's cold calling and getting on the phone, getting networking and your business cards out there, getting your face out there so that people know who you are and what you sell and what you do, whether it's life insurance or housing or you're in the car business, right? Building a following in any way is important in order to find leads. And then you have to decide to what we do called pre-approach. So you kind of plan how you're going to approach them, and if you're going to do a phone call or an email, or perhaps you want to think about setting up a meeting, you might want to tell them like how you got their name. Was it a referral from somebody else? Because we have privacy legislation that you can't just go through the phone book and cold call that way, but you actually have to have a plan in place as to how you got their information. And then you make the approach. Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm calling with this offer today. I got your name from Jane. She thought this might be something you'd be really interested in. Do you have 2 minutes for us to talk about what I have to offer and why it would be of good benefit to you? In that moment might not be the moment you get to do the pitch. It's just the approach. It's the first email, the first call, the first reach out. And then you plan for the demonstration or the presentation, if they'll give you a meeting or if they'll listen further. So from there, let's assume you did get a meeting and you've got the person in front of you. You also have to be prepared that they're not just going to say yes right away. Maybe you'll have to meet with them a few times and do some persuasive selling or, really pushing the benefits and features and justifying the why. That's the part of the process that's known as handling objections. So, if the price is too much or if the time isn't right or if there's certain features they don't understand, these are the moments where you have to figure out what is the problem or the conflict or the limitation that the customer's having, and how do I get them over that hurdle to close the deal, to work a better deal, to answer more questions. And if you can't close the deal right then, you can try again another time. If you do close the deal right then, you should always follow up to see how things are going, if it has met their needs, if they're satisfied, if they're happy, if they have ongoing questions. So I'm going to end there for today, introductory piece to the chapter, and I'll pick up more in the next video. Bye for now.